The Cold War with Sophia Young had already entered its second month, and she had publicly announced her engagement to someone else. Friends around me all expected that I would lose control as before and fly into a rage. But instead, I sincerely offered my congratulations. As I was about to leave, Sophia Young stopped me. Being so magnanimous today, I calmly met her gaze. "Just as you expected, Daniel Wilson. This kind of playing hard to get doesn't suit you. Be careful, you don't end up hurting yourself." Hearing that, I left without looking back. A few weeks later, on a late night, Sophia Young called drunk, asking to reconcile. I was just having fun with him. It ended long ago. Can you come back? At that moment, the woman beside me reached for my phone. Sorry, he's mine now, and he has to be responsible to me. The day I went to Sophia Young's place, I carefully picked out a watch designed with a star trail. Just as I arrived downstairs at her apartment, I stopped at the sound of voices coming from a window. "I'm getting engaged." My heart skipped a beat, a trace of hope spreading in my chest. Inside, a chorus of congratulations broke out, finally making it official. 10 years of feelings. It's about time there was a result. I'll definitely be your wedding witness. Daniel Wilson is such a good catch. If you don't lock him down, someone else will. Sophia Young's tone suddenly cooled. You misunderstand. I'm not talking about Daniel Wilson. My fiancé is still doing his master's degree. Bright and pure, upright in character, just a bit introverted. Watch your words in the future. Don't make him uncomfortable. Silence fell instantly inside. I leaned against the wall, feeling as if an invisible weight was pressing on my chest. Bright and pure, upright in character. These words echoed in my mind like an invisible blade, stripping away my defenses layer by layer. The pain was excruciating. After a moment, I lifted my head. Through the half-open window, I saw the young man standing beside her. Indeed, just as she said, youthful and clean, like new buds in early spring, unweathered by the world. No wonder she introduced him to her family over the New Year holiday. When I learned the news, I tried to console myself. Now, even the last illusion has been shattered. Looking down at the delicate watch in my hand, I bitterly smiled. No matter how beautiful the time, it no longer concerns me. The silence inside continued. After lingering outside the door for a long time, I finally stepped inside. I heard you're about to enter marriage. Congratulations. This watch is something I specially picked out as a gift. Wishing you well. I looked directly into Sophia Young's eyes and calmly finished. Lifelong companionship and a happy family. With that, I handed the watch to her and turned toward the bedroom we once shared. 10 years of feelings. This apartment still scattered, with traces of my life I hadn't cared before. Now staying only felt awkward. Besides the necessities, the closet still hung many of my suits and casual clothes, most of which Sophia Young had personally chosen. I didn't take a single one. The only things I took were 2 tickets to the Digital Technology Summit from the desk. I had painstakingly booked them, but she never showed interest. I had planned to give up attending. Now it seemed this might be a new beginning. As I pulled my luggage, preparing to leave, the living room was empty. Only Sophia Young and that young man remained. When he looked at me, his eyes were full of doubt. Sophia Young led him to the study and stood alone in front of me. Unusually generous today, aren't you going to fight for it? I calmly watched her, a slight smile on my lips. Since you've made your position clear, if I keep clinging, wouldn't that be humiliating? Sophia Young, you've made your choice, and I respect your decision. After hearing that, she sneered. What? Learn to play hard to get. I looked at her, expressionlessly, feeling unusually calm inside. Sophia Young, you should know me. I'd rather break than bend. With that, I headed straight for the exit. Daniel Wilson, this step back to see the big picture tactic doesn't suit you. Be careful, you don't end up with nothing. Her words were full of mockery, as if I were a naive child. Aren't you worried I'll really marry him? Then I can only wish you happiness. I didn't stop. Sophia Young didn't try to hold me back anymore. Soon after leaving her place, my phone vibrated. Don't take the act too far, or it'll be ugly when you can't stop it. She was convinced I couldn't really leave her. 10 years ago, I fell into a carefully planned trap on campus. Drugged and disoriented, I was cornered by several girls in a remote spot. They took photos of me looking miserable and bound. Those pictures quickly spread across the campus network. Since then, I became the subject of ridicule among some students. At first, just verbal attacks. Gradually, the bolder ones started physical harassment. One rainy night, several girls dragged me to a small alley at the campus edge, intending to humiliate me further. Sophia Young suddenly appeared and rescued me. That night, she was like a heroine in a movie. Brave and fearless. Later, she used her family's resources to deal with the photos and rumors. Since then, I became her loyal follower. Later, we developed a romantic relationship. Because of that experience, I developed a fear of physical contact with others, except with her. She always took pride in this until 3 years ago when we were intimate for the first time. My reaction did not meet her expectations. Even under the dim light, I caught the flicker of doubt and disappointment in her eyes. After that, I still resisted others' touch while she began growing close to other men. The pride she once had turned into disdain. This was the reason she refused to marry me. In her heart, perhaps I was no longer pure. I posted a status on social media. Anyone want to join me for the tech summit tomorrow night in Donghai VIP seats? The comment section quickly became lively. Unfortunately, no one was able to go. A friend sent me a dozen messages in a row. Bro, on a business trip back next Monday, is this the event you plan to go to with Sophia Young? While browsing replies, a private message quietly arrived. I casually opened it. Daniel, coincidentally, I'm on a business trip in Donghai too. We can go together. Reading this message, I was stunned. A figure surfaced deep in my memory. Slender, yet determined, it was Grace Miller, the older sister from the neighborhood of my childhood. The summit was scheduled to start at 8 p.m., considering we could have dinner first. We agreed to meet at 5:30. Grace Miller was delayed by an urgent video meeting and sent an assistant to pick me up. As the car pulled into the restaurant, Grace Miller had just stepped down from an understated business vehicle, followed by two women exuding elite professionalism. Each held documents, their expressions focused. Now 27, she was already the founder of a well-known tech company in Donghai. Her grandfather had retired and chosen to return to the countryside. Coincidentally, right next to my grandfather's home. Every holiday, we would meet there. I had no playmates in the village, so I always followed her around. We climbed mountains and watched fish by the creek. When tired, I would squat down and let her rest on my back. She often fell asleep there. I remember playing house as a kid, always declaring, seriously, Grace is the best to me. When I grow up, I'll marry her. When I went through hard times, she specially flew back from overseas to visit me. But at that time, I had closed myself off and refused to see anyone. Gradually, we lost contact until 5 years ago when Sophia Young's company ran into crisis and faced massive compensation. The creditor happened to be a subsidiary of the Miller Group. I thought of Grace Miller. To seek help, I returned to my hometown. That was when I got her contact again. But since then, we had no further communication. Seeing me, she briefly spoke to her colleagues behind her, then smiled warmly and sincerely as she approached me, just like in my memories. For a moment, time seemed to rewind until Grace Miller stood before me. Little Daniel, long time no see. Little Daniel was her exclusive nickname for me since childhood. It never changed. I looked up and met her eyes, deep and vast, like a starry night sky. Bright, yet profound. 40 minutes before the summit started, my phone notified me of a new friend request from an account named Sunnyboy. The note read, Sophia Young asked me to add you. After a moment's hesitation, I accepted. As soon as we connected, a video arrived. The lighting was dim, but I immediately recognized the familiar figure. Sophia Young leaned against a booth, swirling a glass in her hand. Despite the noisy background, her voice was unusually clear. About what happened back then, I know I can't blame him completely, but honestly, it still bothers me, especially him. Who knows whether it really didn't happen, or if he was just pretending. How can you expect me to marry someone like that? Her tone was filled with obvious contempt, as if talking about a stranger unrelated to her, not the partner she had been with for 10 years. Unbelievable. The person who once whispered love in my ear now spoke such venom behind my back. My hands began to tremble, unable to hold the phone steadily. A passerby lightly bumped me, and it slipped to the ground. Bending down to pick it up, tears uncontrollably welled up. Eventually, I squatted there, letting the tears flow freely. After crying, I took several deep breaths and slowly stood up. At that moment, a star projector was handed to me. At the same time, Grace Miller's voice sounded in my ear. I saw this being showcased in the exhibition area and thought you'd like it. I took the projector and noticed she also held one. Somewhat puzzled, I asked, "You're interested in this, too?" My voice was still from crying. My eyes must have been swollen and red, but Grace Miller didn't ask why. She just smiled, gently placing her palm over my eyes. "This is a limited edition pair. I don't want anyone else to have the same as you, not even a little projector." Some encounters seem destined, yet happen so naturally. During the tech exhibition, the big screen just happened to capture that moment. Grace Miller's lips lightly pressed against mine amid the rising gasps around us. The line between reality and dream began to blur in the penthouse suite of Donghai's most luxurious hotel. The city's neon lights filtered through the floor-to-ceiling windows, casting a soft, hazy glow over us. Grace Miller's kiss was like a spring breeze, gently brushing over my brow and trailing downwards until finally, my fingers unconsciously clenched her shoulders. Just as I was about to cross that line, I suddenly snapped back to reality. "Grace, wait, no, I was too dirty." Truly, too dirty. The kind of dirtiness that Sophia Young, after 10 years, would only touch once before recoiling. In disgust, in a day, deeply buried memories resurfaced. A group of girls snarling as they shoved me into a secluded corner of campus. In that dark, damp place, they roughly tore at my clothes. If not for Sophia Young's sudden appearance, my life might have plunged into an abyss. So all these years, I had regarded Sophia Young as my salvation. Even though later she hurt me again, and again, betrayed me time and time again, I never thought of leaving. Until this time, she brought that boy home and said he was pure and clean. At that moment, I finally understood. She had always despised me for being unclean. Grace Miller stopped moving and gently embraced me until my tense body slowly relaxed. Grace, I'm sorry, I thought I could let go of the past. Thought I could start over, but it seems this side of me must be such a disappointment. After speaking, I didn't dare look at Grace Miller, only staring out at the flickering city lights. Daniel Wilson, look at me. Grace Miller cupped my face with both hands, her voice gentle but firm. The filth was never on you. The dirty ones are those people's hearts. Those prejudices, they have nothing to do with you. Her eyes held only pity and tenderness, nothing else. How I wanted to believe her, but bitterness still lingered in my heart. I understand that logic, but I really can't do it. People's prejudices are like a high wall. The human heart is unpredictable, and bias is hard to change. And I, it seems, am destined to be trapped behind this wall, never to touch the sunlight. Daniel Wilson. Grace Miller rested her forehead against mine, voice low and warm. I will always be by your side, just like when we were kids, whether climbing mountains or stargazing. Whenever you looked back, you'd see me. Every time we went home, I would sleep soundly on your back like I was afraid of nothing. Grandpa said, I was too bold. Do you remember how I answered? I said, it's because I knew Daniel would never let me fall or leave me behind, so I felt especially safe on your back. Her tone was soft, as if soothing a frightened little animal. A tender kiss fell on my hairline and brow, like the warmest star in the night sky, slowly dispelling the darkness. You were the one who said, since childhood, that you'd marry me. I've never forgotten. The next morning, I found several unread messages on my phone, all from Sophia Young. I neither checked nor planned to reply. Since then, Sophia Young never contacted me again. 5 days later, she and that graduate student held their engagement ceremony. Grand and citywide newsworthy. I received many messages, mostly from our mutual friends. One was from Sophia Young herself. Daniel, remember to send me your new address. I want to send you the invitation. I ignored it, only gazing at Grace Miller on the balcony holding a video conference. She suddenly turned around. Our eyes met. A gentle curve lifted the corner of her lips. In the morning light, breathtakingly beautiful. I walked over and bent my head. Grace Miller, kiss me. The light from the engagement invitation on the phone screen illuminated our embracing figures. Moments later, Grace Miller sighed softly and took my hand, leading me toward the bedroom. Returning to Beijing was half a month later. A few close friends organized a private dinner under the pretext of reunion. At the table, everyone tacitly avoided mentioning Sophia Young, but no one expected her to show up unexpectedly. She entered silently and dragged a chair to sit beside me. Her face was dark and gloomy. Her sudden arrival froze the entire private room. A deathly silence fell. After a long pause, Sophia Young finally spoke coldly. I came and said nothing. Is that to exclude me? The host forced a smile. Sophia, you're joking. We just didn't expect you to come. How could we? Daniel Wilson, you say something. Sophia Young's expression was icy. Her gaze locked on me. A friend sensed something wrong and tried to ease the tension. Before he could speak, a wine glass flew at him. Sophia Young, are you crazy? In the end, you're the one who betrayed Daniel. How can you still act so unreasonably? I want to be unreasonable. Sophia Young suddenly stood up. The chair she dragged toppled, scraping harshly across the floor. Faced with her hysterical outburst, I remained remarkably calm inside. Since the day I decided to let go, many things had ceased to matter. Her anger to me was nothing but fleeting smoke. Seeing my silence, Sophia Young threw a gilded invitation onto the table. Before me, this is my wedding invitation. You better come to the wedding. Looking at the invitation before me, I smiled faintly. All right, I will be there on time. Hearing my reply, Sophia Young's expression darkened even further, as cold as the dead of winter. She stared at me for a long while, a cold smirk curling at the corner of her mouth. Daniel Wilson, your stubbornness hasn't changed one bit. I hope you won't regret today's decision in the future. Because of this drama, the dinner party ended early. As I stepped out of the restaurant, I saw Grace Miller waiting outside. She wore casual clothes, sitting calmly in the lobby lounge. Every gesture she made was graceful and composed. Seeing her like that, I couldn't help but recall the scene from that night. Her gentleness and strength, and the sweet words she whispered to soothe me. If I didn't know how focused she always was on her career, I might have suspected she was a skilled player in romance, and her figure was truly perfect. God, I must be crazy. Thinking this, my face flushed uncontrollably. At that moment, Grace Miller walked up to me. My friends, who had insisted on seeing me off, were stunned, curiously studying her. Grace Miller glanced at my friends, then naturally took off the silk scarf from her neck and draped it around mine. It gets chilly at night. Don't catch a cold. While tying the scarf, she softly asked, "Was dinner enjoyable? Any plans afterward?" Her gaze remained warm and tender as she looked at me. This made my already calming face flush again. I forced myself to stay composed and answered casually, "Nothing much, just getting ready to head back." Grace Miller nodded. "I'll have the driver bring the car over. Wait here for me a moment." After saying that, she politely nodded to my friends and turned to leave. Once she was gone, my friends snapped back to reality and began gossiping. "Daniel, who's this graceful beauty? She seemed so gentle and caring, so good to you. Could she be Grace Miller's identity?" For a moment, I didn't know how to define it. After hesitating, I chose the simplest introduction. She was my childhood neighbor, an older sister figure. I lost contact for a while, but reconnected recently. What I said was true, but obviously no one believed me. Everyone smiled knowingly, until a friend suddenly sighed. "I originally thought you and Sophia Young would be the first among us to tie the knot. Who knew?" The unspoken words carried regret, and how could I not hear it? I once thought Sophia Young and I could grow old together. Who could have imagined it would end like this? Perhaps our meeting was a mistake from the start. Sophia Young somehow found out about Grace Miller and me and called late at night. "Daniel Wilson, no wonder you acted so indifferent today. You've climbed up to higher branches." Her voice was full of drunken anger. Even through the phone, I could imagine her gritting her teeth. I looked out at the city lights and spoke coldly. "My private life is none of your business. Sophia Young, we're over." I had to reiterate the fact. Hearing the word over, she let out a cold laugh. "Ha, is this another one of your playing hard to get tricks?" Before I could respond, she continued, "You think bringing another woman into the picture will make me change my mind? When did you get so childish, Daniel Wilson?" Her sarcasm dragged me into memories. I was indeed too immature. Sophia Young and I were together for a full 10 years from university through the workplace. While our peers were starting families, she never wanted to talk about marriage. Since that incident 3 years ago, rumors about her with other men never stopped. We argued countless times, had many cold wars, and thought about breaking up more than once. But every time, in the end, I chose to compromise. I never expected that simply mentioning marriage before the new year would ignite our longest Cold War. Ultimately, she chose someone else, and a new figure appeared in my life. Coming back to myself, I looked at the starry sky projector on the table. A smile appeared at the corner of my mouth. "Sophia Young, you're overthinking. Our story is over. There won't be a sequel, so please stop paying attention to my life. Thank you." After saying the last word, I hung up and switched off my phone. I paused by the window for a moment, just as I was about to return to my room. Warm arms wrapped around me. "Little Daniel, why are you so naughty? Why are you standing here with so little on? What if you catch a cold?" Just as I turned, she kissed me, passionate yet full of tenderness. After breaking up with Sophia Young, I decided to return to Donghai. I never really belonged to Beijing. I had stayed only for Sophia Young, and now there was no reason to stay. While packing, my phone suddenly received a new email alert. I thought it was a confirmation for a work transfer, but upon opening it, I saw several photos. The person in the photos was tied to a chair in a lab, clothes disheveled. One photo was of the scene from that rainy night. I was lying on the lab floor, surrounded by a group of people. Several hands were reaching toward me. Just one glance, and I felt dizzy and disoriented. The protagonist in the photos was me. How could this be? I had already dealt with it, so why is it resurfacing now? I collapsed to the floor. With trembling hands, I reached for my phone. The moment it rang, the other side answered. "Sophia Young, those photos have surfaced again. The scene from that night was recorded, too." I spoke frantically, disregarding how estranged we had become. "Those photos have always been a haunting nightmare for me. Now, the nightmare has returned. Just the thought of it suffocates me." Daniel Wilson. Sophia Young's voice was unusually calm. "I forwarded those photos to you this morning. Someone sent them to me anonymously. I thought you should know." The sender said they would contact me again. A chill ran through me. The nightmare had indeed come back. I never expected to see Sophia Young again under such circumstances. I was panicked and lost, but she remained as composed as ever. "Daniel, we don't yet know who has the photos. It's not wise to act rashly now. If we provoke them, these photos could leak out. It would be a disaster." Sophia Young pushed up her gold-rimmed glasses and looked at me sincerely. I quickly glanced at my computer screen, then looked away immediately. "But I want to report this to the police." My hands clenched involuntarily. If he can send the photos to us, he might have sent them to others as well. I'm not sure. I just want these photos to disappear completely and the person who has them to disappear. Tears kept sliding down as I spoke, falling onto the back of my hand, painfully sharp. Daniel, don't be afraid. I've had someone investigate. The photos are only with us. They contacted me because they want money. I can pay a lot of money if they destroy all the photos. I will never let you get hurt again. Saying this, Sophia Young held me close and comforted me softly. Daniel, trust me, I will always protect you. Her tone was just like it was back then, gentle but firm, making one want to depend on her. I closed my eyes and gently pushed her away. Sophia Young, thank you, but we have broken up and you have a fiancé now. I'll handle this myself. Really, you don't need to get involved. Sophia Young suddenly became agitated. Daniel Wilson, what are you being stubborn about now? Wasn't I always the one who helped you solve problems before? What's wrong with me helping you now? If you're upset because of the breakup, we can get back together. At this, she suddenly cupped my face. Let's start over. Daniel, looking at that familiar face, there was no joy in my heart, only surprise. I pushed her hands away and stepped back. Sophia Young, this kind of joke isn't funny at all. You're about to get married. I'm not joking, I'm serious. Daniel Wilson. All these years, I've never truly liked anyone else. My heart has always belonged only to you. The engagement was just to make you jealous. It wasn't sincere. My heart has always been with you. Sophia Young's expression was unprecedentedly earnest. Daniel, let's get back together. As long as you're willing to come back to me, I'll immediately help you get rid of the photos. Okay. In the end, I still rejected Sophia Young's request for reconciliation. She didn't insist further. After returning home, I forced myself to open the computer and double-check my email. Suddenly, I saw a new message in my inbox. I heard you have a new girlfriend. What do you think she feels seeing these photos? I'm really looking forward to it. He knew about Grace Miller. For a moment, I almost forgot to breathe. I absolutely could not let her see those photos. That was my first reaction. I frantically typed on the keyboard, trying to stop the sender. But there was never any reply. I picked up my phone, intending to call Grace Miller to ask if she had received any strange emails to confirm if she had seen those disgusting photos, but my finger hovered above her name. Unable to press, I could only repeatedly scroll through our chat history. Today happened to be her birthday. We had planned to have dinner together. She even said she would introduce me to some of her close friends. I prepared a lot for this meeting, bought a new suit and shoes, and even had my hair styled, but now I bitterly smiled. It seemed that a person like me was destined to live only in the shadows. How dare I hope to have sunshine and warmth? That would only invite a bigger storm. I sighed. Life is truly ironic. Grace rushed into the apartment while I was still immersed in despair. The woman I remembered, always elegant and composed, now looked full of panic and fear. She tried to walk toward me but suddenly stopped after taking a step. Daniel, please step away from there. Okay. Looking down, I realized I had unknowingly been standing in front of the floor-to-ceiling window. One more step forward and I would have fallen into an abyss. Realizing this, I immediately stepped back into the room. The moment my feet touched the carpet, Grace visibly relaxed. She hurried forward and held me tightly in her arms. Daniel Wilson, do you know how scared I am? No matter what happens, you have to live well, or else I would really break down. Her face pressed against my neck, her breath brushing softly, bringing a trace of warmth. But at this moment, there was no hint of intimacy because a warm tear fell on my shoulder. That tear seemed to drop onto my parched heart, making the barren land bloom again, like rain after a long drought. After a long while, we sat on the living room sofa. Unlike the earlier panic, her expression was now very serious. Daniel Wilson, let's get married. I thought she would scold me, but instead, she said this. I was about to nod, then suddenly looked at her in shock. Marry, you? No, absolutely not. Grace, you are the most outstanding tech entrepreneur in Donghai. You can find someone better. You don't need to do this for me. I'm not worthy. Daniel Wilson, as long as it's you, you're worth everything. Grace Miller cupped my face with both hands and looked deeply into my eyes. Her eyes were like a vast starry sky, the most beautiful sight I have ever seen, making me want to drown in them. But the next second, the photos from the emails flashed through my mind. The beautiful fantasy shattered instantly. With red eyes, I gently pushed her hands away. Grace, I was once ... No? Grace Miller nodded firmly. I know all about it, but none of that is a reason for me to give up on you. Unless you don't like me. Thinking of the email I received this morning, I shook my head. Even if you don't care, what about your family? This morning, I received an email with those old photos. Sophia Young said she could pay to buy them back, but I don't want to live under someone's threat forever, to always be on edge, so I decided to report it to the police. Once it's public, my past won't be hidden anymore. Those rumors have already been enough for me to bear. You deserve a better life. After speaking, I looked out at the city nightscape, full of envy in my heart. Hearing this, Grace Miller frowned. You mean someone is threatening you with those photos? And Sophia Young suggested using money to solve it. I nodded. Yes, but that was just her suggestion. I didn't agree. Although money might quickly solve the problem, I didn't want that. I don't want someone hidden away in a dark corner to forever control my fate. And I especially don't want to be linked to Sophia Young because of this. I am the victim, after all. Seeing my nod, Grace Miller didn't hesitate. She stood up and pulled me toward the door. The emails are still there, right? Let's go to the police station now. I was about to refuse when she interrupted. Not being there for you last time is my biggest regret. This time, please let me face everything with you, okay? After reporting to the police, Grace Miller suggested we temporarily leave the city. I thought we would go to some resort, but unexpectedly, she took me back to the old mountain village. Since my grandfather passed away 3 years ago, I hadn't returned to this place. Returning to the old home now, memories surged like tides. After visiting my grandfather's old house, Grace Miller took me to see her grandmother. The elderly lady had prepared a table full of hearty, home-cooked dishes, all my childhood favorites, which made Grace Miller pretend to be jealous. After dinner, grandmother held my hand and looked at me kindly. Daniel, I heard you together with Grace. Her words made my heart jump, then grow heavy, but the expected doubts and reproaches did not come. Grandmother patted my hand comfortingly. You two coming together is fate. If she dares to bully you, just tell me. I'll teach her a lesson for you. Grace Miller rubbed her temple helplessly. Grandma, I would never bully anyone. Grandmother glared at her, then turned to me. Grace has been stubborn since she was little, but she's kind. If you ever suffer injustice, come find Grandma. Grandma's got your back. I wanted to explain our relationship but found my throat choking. Unconsciously, I leaned my head on grandmother's shoulder, my chest full of bitterness. When I was a child, grandfather loved me like this, too. Now, tears welled in my eyes. But in an instant, all my grievances surged up. Daniel, I know what you want to say, but Grandma wants to tell you a truth. Purity is just a shackle society puts on us. Why should anyone be bound by this notion their whole life? Grandmother gently stroked my back. Living is more important than anything. So, Daniel, you must live with your head held high. Her warm words, like a spring breeze on my face, soothed my soul. The tears finally broke loose. I also want to tell you a secret about Grace. This girl has liked you for many years. Her journal is full of notes about you. Grandma. Grace Miller's flustered voice interrupted grandmother. I turned my head and happened to see her shy smile and her slightly flushed ears. Back in the city, I finally saw the journal grandmother mentioned. Every page was filled with bits and pieces about me, from my nervousness at my first science competition to that nightmare accident. Even when grandfather passed away, she recorded her worries that I might cry alone. I went through journal after journal, but the main subject was always me looking at Grace Miller, who was pretending to handle emails while her ears flushed bright red. I stood up and walked behind her, wrapping my arms around her shoulders. Grace, when all this is over, will you marry me? After saying that, I took the initiative to kiss her lips. Grace Miller was momentarily stunned, then quickly took back control. It's a promise. You can't back out later. I didn't reply, only deepened the kiss. This could temporarily mask the bitterness in my heart if that incident had never happened. Maybe Grace Miller and I would have been together a long time ago. After all, she was the one who accompanied me through my entire youth. When Sophia Young called, Grace and I were still immersed in each other's tenderness. I didn't want to answer, but the phone kept ringing insistently. Grace sighed softly and got up to answer. As soon as she picked up, Sophia's impatient voice came through. Daniel, those were all just affairs for us, and it's all completely over now. Won't you come back? I promise I won't be involved with anyone else again. Don't be mad at me anymore. For you, I've become the hopeless romantic in the circle. Let's start over, okay? I looked at Grace. The hands-free voice was clear to her. Her brow furrowed, and a chill flashed in her eyes. She bent down and hugged me, gently biting my earlobe. My cheeks burned in such an intimate moment. Sophia Young's voice sounded especially grating. Sorry, Sophia Young. I now have someone who truly cherishes me. There was silence on the other end. Then came her incredulous question. Who is Daniel? Are you playing those teasing games again, or trying to provoke me? Does that person know your past? What if she finds out? Before she could finish, Grace snatched the phone. Her expression was colder than ever. Sorry, I'm his girlfriend now, and he's responsible to me. My name is Grace Miller. You'd better remember it. Sophia Young, using someone else's pain as a threat is despicable. Remember what I said, or I won't hesitate to bring another crisis down on your career. Then Grace hung up directly. I opened my mouth to say something, but she held me tightly. Daniel, don't be afraid. I will always be by your side now and in the future. My eyes reddened. Grace, Thank you. When I saw Sophia Young at the police station, I was too shocked to speak. I had imagined countless possibilities but never thought the mastermind would be her. She was once my salvation. I saw her as light, but ironically, she was also the one who pushed me into the abyss. According to the police investigation, the truth was finally revealed. Sophia Young was not directly involved in the incident, but she was the earliest to know. She knew all about their conspiracy and actions. Not only did she not stop it, but she also spent a large sum buying the camera full of photos. Those photos were distributed under her orders. Even the most painful scenes for me were from her hand. And all of this was just to win the person she fancied. The crush of a girl, tormenting someone, watching him fall into the mud covered in filth, then playing the savior, putting on a hero's act, enjoying his dependence, trust, and love. Later, years after, using his past to shame and hurt him, after he left, she regretted it deeply. So, she dug up those photos again, trying to win back my heart. Daniel, you have to believe me. I did it because I loved you too much. You were so high up then, you didn't see me. When I learned about this, I had this idea. I really loved you, Daniel. In front of everyone's stunned eyes, Sophia Young suddenly confessed hysterically, blaming all her crimes on love. I remembered the last time she called, begging to reconcile, also saying she loved me endlessly. I felt it was utterly ridiculous. Does she really think that saying I love you can erase all the hurt? Erase all those sleepless nights I spent tossing and turning? Erase my countless moments of despair when I wanted to give up on life? I looked at her coldly. Your love is disgusting. At that moment, I even felt the past 10 years were utterly sickening. How can you say I'm disgusting, Daniel? Although I was wrong about this, if it weren't for me, you would have been killed long ago. Besides, you can't deny my care and help all these years. Without me, you'd be ruined. If it weren't for you, I wouldn't have gone through this. I cut Sophia Young off coldly. I didn't want to hear another word from her, nor see her again. How grateful I once was to her is how much I now despise her. As for her fate, I believe the law will deliver a just verdict. Sophia Young went mad the second month after Grace Miller and I got married. I heard she got into a fight in prison and fell, injuring her head. Though she lost her mind, she kept murmuring my name. The Young family came to see me, hoping I would visit her once, believing it would help her regain her sanity. I refused. Though I appreciated her companionship over the years, I hated her hurt even more. So, I'm unwilling to offer any help, not even the slightest bit. Now, I only wish for Daniel to remain himself. Though dazzling, I want to shine for only one